Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Katherine Kelly. I am a holistic health psychologist. I am not an astrologer. However, I have found astrology to be enormously helpful in my own work as a psychologist because when you understand certain astrological events, what's coming, how it's going to affect human behavior, you can kind of keep an eye out for what's going to happen with your clients, what's going to happen with coworkers, what's going to happen with people in your life. And I started doing these evolving souls forecasts several months ago to help people, both practitioners and the public, understand kind of what's coming so you know what to expect. And it is, again, enormously helpful at times to kind of know, okay, let me just observe, keep an eye out for what may be happening. Now, the last several months have been chock full of astrological events. July in particular, it's just like boom, 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 boom. There's nine, we had Mercury in retrograde, we had, of course, full moon, new moon, all that always happens. But we had nine additional pretty significant astrological events that stirred the world, stirred us individually, kind of played with us a little bit. And, so it was action oriented and it was just a lot going on. Now, August is going to be a little more quiet, actually, really a lot more quiet, but it's almost like to catch our breaths. It's almost like the universe is giving us a little grace to help us catch our breaths after several months of just event after event after event. And really, this is a time to kind of take a breather, relax, do some journaling, do some observation, kind of do some reflection, just catch your breath a little bit. Do what you can to catch your breath because the months to come will ramp up again. But I wanted to let you know there are several events again this month, but they're less impactful than the last few months. But there are really three major events that are happening in August that I'm just going to give people a heads up about. I'm going to look at my notes because I'm not going to remember all of the specific dates and everything. But the first one is a solar eclipse on August 12th. So that is new moon. So basically, those of you who understand new moon, there's a lot of kind of letting go, but wow, new beginnings. What's going to happen with this new moon? What do I want to set the intentions for? And then the lunar eclipse is on August 27th, 28th, basically. And that is the lunar eclipse. And then on August 31st, we have kind of an expansion of sorts. And really what this is, it's it's a it's it's a continuation of what's happening evolutionarily in our world. And it's about opening our heart space. And so I'm going to talk through these just a little bit more to help you understand. But those are the three key events from what I am studying and learning and hearing other people talk about. And I wanted just to provide this to you today too, so you can again keep an eye out for yourselves. So again, August 12th, the solar eclipse. We are in this process of shedding and letting go and purging and releasing and realizing, gosh, this stuff is not working for us anymore. And so whether it's material stuff and you've kind of outgrown it, whether it is a pattern or a behavior or a dynamic or a relationship, a lot of times this is what we need to do is consciously let go and consciously move beyond it. But how do we do that? Well, we have to do our own personal work to get there. And August 12th being a solar eclipse it's an optimal time to really think about, gosh, what do I want in the newness of my world? What do I want to create for my own new world? They keep talking about the new earth. Well, we have to create our own individual worlds in order to create the collective earth. And so this is really about self-reflection, all of that kind of, again, internal inventory of what's happening. Now, full moons, new moons can bring a lot of energy and for certain people. And so when we have an eclipse that is tied to those, then basically it ramps up that energy. So if you're feeling more emotional, if you're feeling more reflective, if you're feeling like there's old stuff is coming up, that's all very natural. And the way I look at it from the human side is, to keep in touch with it to help you realize, oh, well, gosh, if this stuff is coming up, I'm supposed to deal with it. I'm not supposed to shove it back down. And so you have to start doing the work. You have to really look at what's coming up. So the solar eclipse is, again, more letting go. It's all about new beginnings. It's about noticing what we've been holding on to. And yet there's also something called an air grand trine that, again, I listened to a couple different astrologers to gather this information. I am not an astrologer, but I like to listen to them because it does help me prepare for what clients are going to be bringing in. the air grand trine is all about our interactions, all about our relationships. And so it's going to be kind of interesting because, I'm a psychologist. I teach how to have deep, real conversations with people. In therapy sessions, I basically work with people about having those real and deep conversations about what is going on with them, what they need to do with themselves to grow, heal, all of that. But what's going to be interesting right around the solar eclipse is that you might notice yourself having more authentic conversations, real conversations, deeper conversations might come up that you weren't expecting. And what I'm trying to encourage people to do is show up with authenticity. Show up with that, wow, let me really take in what this person is saying. Let me respond from a very present perspective and see what I can do. Because what do we need more in this world? We need presence. We need to be able to show up. We need to be able to be more real. We need to be able to respond and not react. We need to be able to have these reflections of ourselves and share it with someone else and hope that they're going to receive it because of the fact that we have to get more real in this world. There is so much not real that's going on in the world. And I think that's one of our biggest ways that we misalign with our souls is if we are not being real and not showing up and not being authentic. I told someone just yesterday, take a breath in between sentences. Take a breath before they rush to the next thought that they're going to express, because sometimes we can outrun ourselves and sometimes we cannot be authentic and real and present and mindful if we are rushing too fast. So it'll be really interesting right around, again, August 12th, right around that solar eclipse, you might notice some real conversations happening. You might see some real conversations happening in the media. You might see some people kind of being more real that you weren't expecting to be more real. So I think that this is, again, it's an opportunity to show up in a whole different way. It's an opportunity to become more of yourself. Now, the astrologers are also saying that this is also a time when we're going to kind of step back from that need to be individuals and step more into group thinking or group power. And I don't mean that in a controlling way. I mean, in how do we contribute to the whole? How do we contribute to the community? How is it that we participate as one little speck or one little star, like in the sky behind me? How do we show up in a way that we realize we are part of the whole and not trying to outshine everybody else? So some of this is going to challenge us in terms of, if you have any egoic kind of activity, if you're trying to be bigger or better or stronger or brighter than someone else, this is the time to step back and go, wait a minute, we are all in this together. And one of the things I have been saying to people recently is that we are all on the same path, or all, excuse me, all on different paths, but we are all on the same boat. And so the whole thing is we might have totally different lives, totally different trajectories, but we are all trying to do this human condition together. And it seems like the astrology of right around August 12th and the solar eclipse is supposed to support this even more. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. But again, I would pay attention to, what kinds of emotions are coming up? What is the stuff you do need to let go of? Are you feeling some sadness? Are you feeling some overwhelm? Are you feeling some grief? Are you feeling some remorse? Like, what is coming up? Because it's the cue for you to look back and go, gosh, I really need to let go of that. Or I need to forgive myself. Or I need to do some therapy work or soul healing work or whatever it might be to finally like peel back those layers and attend to what needs attention so that you can move forward. And again, I'm a therapist. I am going to urge and encourage people to do their work, even though it's hard and a lot of people don't like to do their work. This is the time to do the exploration through a journal or, sit and meditate or sit and kind of walk through the things that you've experienced and see what you need to heal. Um, the other thing is, in addition to any of the feelings that might come up, you might have like a mixed emotion kind of thing because there's going to be an energy about that letting go that is partly built-in excitement and exhilaration for, wow, I need to get rid of this stuff so I can move forward. So it's going to be this interesting time where, again, we can simultaneously have two different emotions at the same time. And this is one of those times where we might have that, because it could be, I'm really sad, but dang, I'm really excited. I don't know what's going to happen, but wow, something's coming, something's shifting, something's changing. So there's got to be a bit of excitement about the future, even though, again, we might still see a lot of people kind of purging and breaking stuff away and shutting stuff. So, but this is all the anticipation of the newness, the anticipation of what the world could be like for you, your own world, and what you could move into and evolve beyond so that you can get there. August 28th. So we're going to fast forward 2 weeks. August 28th is the lunar eclipse. So basically, this is where the sun opposes the moon, and it creates a situation in this particular case of what I'm calling the calling. And so we are going to be asked to kind of really look at, what are we working toward? What are we moving to? What is our next level of evolution? What is our next level of soul awareness? What is our next level of what do we need to do as a human in order to be a better human? And so, again, this is such an interesting month because there are fewer major events, but these are powerful events because these are all about doing that internal work, doing that internal, I call it the internal inventory, so that you can get to that next level. So again, we're going to have the calling, being asked to move toward the next level of what I call our soul's evolution. Other people might call it something different. But the other thing to expect is that there might be the unexpected. There might be some big, whoa, okay, I wasn't expecting to understand this. I wasn't expecting to see this in this way. I wasn't expecting this shift or this aha moment or this epiphany or sometimes this awakening. There might be some of that for some of you. And, and because it's on an eclipse period, it could be a big one. It could be one of those doozies that you weren't expecting that can kind of throw you off. But again, I always look at this with anticipation. And I've been telling people, even through July, it's like there were so many big events that were going to stir a lot of people, stir the world. We didn't know what was going to happen. And yet I had a strange, when I say strange, excitement about it. It's just like, okay, with all this stuff happening, I shouldn't be as calm as I am. I shouldn't be as excited as I am. But it's really the observational process of going, gosh, all this stuff has to happen so we can move beyond it and grow in a way that really might be unexpected, but is absolutely necessary for not only our individual souls' purposes and evolution, but for the sake of the collective around us as well. So right around the 28th, you might have that expected shift, but it might be like a huge clarity about something. It might be the ability to go, wow, aha, eureka, now I get it. And it's also related to that whole idea of how am I going to contribute? So it's like this awakening process or this clarity process that may be happening for you actually is going to be related to not only you individually, but it's going to give you the clarity for how you can impact the whole. How is it that you can participate in the evolution of humankind, not just your own evolution? So this is kind of cool because this goes back to that concept of oneness. This goes back to that idea that we have to come together. We have been so torn apart by what's going on in the world, what's going on in our government, what's going on in general, that we have to come together at some point. We have to realize that that is part of the process. This is also a time, so right around the end of the month, right around the 28th, 27th, 28th, you might really have this craving to connect with other souls that are like you, connect with other people that are having these huge ideas, connecting with inspirational folks, connecting with anybody that you can really have like these wonderful sort of bigger conversations with and feel like people get you, people hear you, people don't dismiss you, people that are just gonna support you no matter what. And this is a big part of this. Again, it's part of the coming together process. It's part of this rebuilding of a different kind of community, but realizing we've got to shake this ego stuff. We've got to get this kind of chip off our shoulders and say, I don't want to do this alone anymore. I want to have this collective community around me to move through the sky with, as the metaphor behind me is looking like. So it's really interesting what's supposed to be happening this month because, again, it's an individual process. I'm getting my notes out here. It's an individual process, but it's such about the collective. It's so much about the collective energies and where we're supposed to be moving in general. Now, there are going to be people that resist this. There are going to be people that even poo-poo this and just say, ah, this is hogwash. But if you look at those who are resisting, they're going to have the harder time because they're the ones that are going to be rejected eventually. They're going to be the ones that are going to be left behind because more and more people want to move forward. More and more people want to have the connections with people. More and more people want to have a connection with the divine or with spirit or with source. And so, and I'm not talking about religion, I'm just talking about source, the energetic source. And it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. So, this is, again, it could feel big on those two different dates, but it's actually, again, another reset. It's another form of kind of shaking everything back into place for what needs to happen. August 31st. So, August 31st, there's an experience of Jupiter, let's see, opposing Saturn, I believe, or trining Saturn, I'm sorry. Jupiter is all about expansion. So, anytime Jupiter is involved, it's an expansive experience. So, it could be expanding clarity, it could be expanding your awareness, it could be expanding your network, it could be expanding your ability to connect with other people. And then you have Saturn, which is a little bit of it's a totally different energy. It's kind of like an anchor. It kind of wants to stabilize things. It wants to hold things in place. It wants to find order in some ways. And so we've got this expansive stabilization. And I know that sounds a little strange, but what it's about, and again, because we are meant throughout the next several weeks and months to become more involved and more in contact with our heart space, that this particular event on the 31st is really about getting more in touch with, okay, so I'm starting to understand my place within the world. I'm starting to understand what I can do to contribute, but what is my heart's desire? What is it? How is it? What is my heart involved in that I'm really passionate about? I'm really interested in. So I can start to do that. I can start to plant the seeds for myself to be able to manifest and create and live through my soul's and my heart's desire. So it's actually, again, pretty cool because this is a form of a reset. This is a form of getting the heck out of our heads, getting the heck out of our ego, and being much more heart-centered, being much more compassionate, being much more, again, connected with one another. This is also a time when you might feel like, wow, inspiration is out the roof. Like you're craving inspirational kinds of things. You're feeling inspired. You're listening to things that just feel very inspirational and very like energizing for you. And the important thing is to make sure that you stay grounded and planful in the process of understanding what your heart's desire is and how you want to contribute, how you want to participate, how you want to interact in the future. Because inspiration, comes from that whole expansive thinking. So Jupiter is like expanding your thought. And Saturn is about kind of shrinking it back down to go, okay, yeah, but how do we anchor that? How do we do something that is how do we anchor this in a way that we can do something expansive in a realistic and practical way? So this could feel a little uncomfortable to have to reel yourself in when you have these expansive thoughts and you have this clarity. But it's going to be really important for you to do both because, again, you can get very misaligned and kind of imbalanced, if you're not paying attention to this. So again, it's very important to stay grounded and planful. Otherwise, the inspiration could sweep you away, and that is not going to be a good thing. So here's the take home for kind of moving through August. And this is just the way that I wrote this down, kind of my compilation of what I've been reading and hearing through the astrologers. But it's time to transform together. It's not about our own individual, it is about our individual transformation, but it's about how do we transform individually in a way that is going to also help us transform as a community or as a society or as a world. So this is going to be kind of interesting because the take home is we're going to transform one way or another, but we can choose to do it in a mindful and intentional way that not only are we evolving, but we're helping to participate in what I call the evolution of humankind. And that is huge. That is huge, astronomical when we think about that, because it's time to be more conscious about how we play a part in the world. we've been running around like individual, robots, thinking we're supposed to, we are supposed to work on our individual stuff, but really this is now a higher order awareness of, as I work through my individual stuff, as I contribute as an individual, how is that going to interact with others? How can I joyfully and intentionally interact with others so that we can create a better world? So it's super cool. Number two, a take home is slow down so you can take all of this in, slow down so you can contemplate this. You don't have to outrun the world. And I talk to people all the time about outrunning their souls. And August is going to be a time where you really want to slow down, be mindful, be aware, be contemplative, be conscious, take those breaths in between thoughts and in between sentences, and really take in, how can I show up in a real and aligned and a transformative way without getting myself out of balance? Because again, we outrun ourselves all the time. So again, three major events this month to keep an eye on. Now there are other little events going on, but these are the three major events that could stir you, could make you feel uncomfortable, or could make you feel like, wow, okay, this is really expansive. And then September ramps up again. But right now, this is a time to really go, whew, let me take a breather. Let me air out my soul. Let me nurture myself a little bit. Let me be aware, conscious, all those things. And it's like taking that little breather. It's like taking a nap before we kick back in and have to do some more work. So it's just important to get to that point where you understand that it's time. July was a big month. June was a big month. May was a big month. This whole year has been big months full of kind of stirring events. And August is going to be a little bit calmer and a little bit more breathable. So I hope this was helpful for you. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will look forward to bringing you more information for next month during the Evolving Souls Forecast. If you are curious, you can go to my website at www.Dr.KatherineT.Kelly.com. Again, I am a holistic health psychologist. I do psychotherapy, but I also do soul healing and soul coaching. And the reason I bring this information to you is that astrology is one of the oldest sciences. It's been around for thousands and thousands of years. Socrates, Plato, Hippocrates, Galen, like all of the philosophers and physicians who started the field of medicine used astrology, all the way up to, also Carl Jung, one of the founding fathers of psychology, used astrology and very, very much emphasized the need to integrate the understanding of how the cosmos really affects us as individuals. But we've lost that along the way, and it is my mission to bring this back as one of the aspects of soul healing and like what I call bringing ancient wisdom to the modern soul. So I hope this was helpful. Have a wonderful day, and I'll be back soon.